Welcome. And thank you for letting this quiet hour belong to you. Wherever you are right now, you can let yourself arrive. There is nothing left to finish tonight. Nothing to fix, nothing to solve, nothing that cannot wait until morning. The day is behind you now, and it asks nothing more of you. So let your body grow heavy. Let the bed hold all of your weight, the way the earth holds a fallen leaf. Feel how little you need to do to be held. You do not have to try. You only have to rest. Take one slow breath in through the nose. And let it go, softly, through the mouth. And again. Breathing in, quietly. Breathing out, letting go. With every breath out, let a little more of the day drain away, like warm water slipping down a still river. Tonight I am going to tell you a few old stories. They are very old, older than any of us, carried down through the mountains and monasteries of the East. You do not need to remember them. You do not need to follow every word. Let them wash over you like a soft tide. If your mind drifts, let it drift. If sleep comes before the story ends, then let sleep come. That is exactly what these stories are for. So close your eyes now. Let your shoulders fall. And let us begin, slowly, together. There was once an old farmer who lived a very simple life, in a small village at the foot of a great green mountain. He was not a rich man. He owned a little land, a small house, and one fine horse. That horse was his pride and his help. It carried his loads, it plowed his field, and it stood beside him through the long, quiet seasons. One morning, the farmer went out to the stable, and the gate was open, and the horse was gone. It had run off into the hills in the night. When the neighbors heard, they came to his gate, shaking their heads. "What terrible luck," they said. "Your only horse, gone. How awful for you." The old farmer only shrugged. And softly he said, "Maybe. Maybe not. We shall see." The neighbors went away, puzzled. How strange, they thought, that he was not weeping. A few days passed. The farmer went about his quiet work, feeding his chickens, tending his field, watching the clouds move slow across the mountain. And then, on the third morning, there came a sound of hooves. The farmer looked up. His horse had returned from the hills. But it had not come back alone. Behind it followed 3 wild horses, strong and beautiful, who had chosen to follow it home. Now the farmer had 4 horses where he once had 1. The neighbors came running back to his gate. "What wonderful luck," they cried. 3 fine horses, for nothing. How lucky you are." And again the old farmer only shrugged. And softly he said, "Maybe. Maybe not. We shall see." The neighbors did not understand him. But the farmer did not need them to understand. He simply led the horses into the stable, and gave them water, and went back to his rest. Now the farmer had a son, a young man whom he loved dearly. And the son wished to tame the wild horses. He was strong and eager, and the next day he climbed onto the back of the largest one. The horse reared. The young man was thrown to the ground, and his leg broke beneath him. The neighbors came once more. "What misfortune," they said. "Your only son, and now he cannot walk. Surely this is the worst luck of all." And still the old farmer only breathed, and looked at his son resting quietly, and said, "Maybe. Maybe not." We shall see. And it was not long after, that soldiers came marching into the village. A war had begun in a far-off province, and the army was taking every strong young man to fight. Many sons were led away that day, and many of them would never return. But when the soldiers came to the farmer's house and saw the young man with his broken leg, they passed him by. He could not march. He could not fight. And so he stayed home, safe, beside his father. And the neighbors, who had lost their own sons to the war, did not know whether to call it luck or sorrow at all. The old farmer sat with his son in the evening light. And he did not call it good, and he did not call it bad. He simply watched the mountain, and breathed, and let the world be what it was. For he had learned, over his long and quiet life, that we can almost never see the whole shape of things. What looks like loss may be the seed of a gift. What looks like a gift may carry its own quiet sorrow. And so there is little use in gripping too tightly to either one. Maybe. Maybe not. We shall see. And perhaps, as you lie here in the dark, you can feel a little of that same soft peace. Whatever happened today, whatever you named as good or bad, you do not have to decide its meaning now. You can simply let it rest, unfinished, and trust that the whole shape of things will show itself in time. Let that thought loosen your hands. Let it soften your jaw. There is nothing to grip tonight. Breathe in, slowly. And breathe out. Let yourself sink a little deeper into the warmth of where you are. And when you are ready, let another old story carry you along. This one is about a man crossing a river. There was once a man who lived beside a wide, slow river. In the evenings he liked to take his little boat out onto the water, alone, to be quiet with his own thoughts. One evening, as the mist was rising off the river, he rowed out into the middle of the current and let his boat drift. The sky was turning soft shades of gray and gold. The water was smooth as glass. And the man closed his eyes, and let the peace of the evening settle over him. But as he drifted there, eyes closed, he felt a sudden bump. Another boat had struck his own. The man felt a flash of irritation rise in his chest. Who would be so careless, so clumsy, as to row straight into him, out here, in all this open water? He opened his mouth, ready to scold the fool who had disturbed his peace. He opened his eyes, and turned, with sharp words already on his tongue. But the other boat was empty. It was only an old, empty boat, that had slipped its rope somewhere upstream and drifted down the river on its own. There was no one in it. No one to blame. No one to shout at. Only an empty boat, turning slowly in the current. And the man felt his anger fade as quickly as it had come. There was nowhere for it to go. It simply dissolved, back into the quiet of the evening, and he was left in peace once more. He rode home slowly that night, thinking about what had happened inside him. He had felt such heat, such readiness to be angry, when he believed there was someone in the boat. And that same collision, that very same bump against his side, had stirred nothing at all once he saw that the boat was empty. Nothing had changed but the story in his mind. And he began to wonder. How many of the boats that bump against us in this life are empty boats? How many of the hard words, the sharp glances, the small careless wrongs that we carry home and turn over and over in the dark, how many of them come from people who are simply drifting, lost in their own current, no more meaning to harm us than an empty boat on a river? If we could see every boat as empty, the old teacher said, if we could meet the world the way the man met that drifting boat once his eyes were open, then we could pass through all of it in peace. The river would still bump against us now and then. But there would be no one to blame, and so there would be nothing to hold. So tonight, as you rest, you can let your own boats grow empty. Every person who troubled you today, every word that stung, every moment you have been carrying, you can let it become an empty boat, drifting away on the dark water. No one to blame. Nothing to hold. Only the quiet river, and you, floating gently upon it. Let it drift. Let it go. And breathe. Our next story walks along a muddy road, in the soft rain, a long time ago. Two monks were traveling together on a journey. One was old, and one was young. They had been walking since morning, and the road had turned to soft mud beneath the falling rain. They wore simple robes, and they had taken vows, as the monks of their order did, never to touch a woman, never even to let a hand rest upon one. As they came around a bend in the road, they found a young woman standing at the edge of a wide puddle, where the rain had washed the path away. She was dressed in fine silk, and she could not cross without ruining her clothes in the mud. She stood there, worried, unable to go forward. The older monk walked straight up to her. Without a word, he lifted her gently in his arms, carried her across the muddy water, and set her down softly on the dry ground on the other side. She thanked him, and went on her way. And the two monks continued their journey in silence. But the young monk was troubled. He said nothing, yet the thought turned and turned inside him as they walked. Mile after mile, through the rain, through the villages, through the long gray afternoon, he could not let it rest. At last, when evening came and they were nearing the monastery, he could hold it no longer. He turned to the old monk and said, "We are not allowed to touch a woman. It is against our vow. Yet you lifted that woman in your arms and carried her across the water. How could you do such a thing?" The old monk walked on a few steps in the quiet. And then he smiled, and gently he said, "I set that woman down at the edge of the river, hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" The young monk fell silent. For he understood. The old monk had done a kind thing, and then he had let it go. He had set the woman down and walked on with an empty heart and empty hands. But the young monk had left her at the river with his body, and yet he had carried her all day in his mind. Every step of that long muddy road, he had been carrying a weight that was not even there. And how often do we do the very same thing? Something happens in the morning, a small thing, a word, a worry, a moment we did not like. And the moment itself passes in a breath. But we pick it up, and we carry it. We carry it through our lunch, and through our afternoon, and into the evening. We carry it to the dinner table, and we carry it into our bed. We set nothing down. And by the end of the day our arms are full of things that ended long ago. So here, now, in the dark, you can begin to set them down. One by one. That thing someone said. That task left undone. That worry you have been holding since the morning. You carried it far enough. You may set it down now, at the edge of the river, and walk on without it. You do not need it while you sleep. It will keep until morning, if it matters at all. And most of it, you will find, does not matter nearly as much as it seemed. Let your arms grow empty. Let your mind grow empty. There is nothing left to carry now. Breathe in. Breathe out. And rest. The next story is a very short one. It happened in the study of a great teacher, over a simple cup of tea. There was once a professor, a learned man, who had studied a great deal and knew a great many things. He had read many books, and he could speak on many subjects, and he was rather proud of everything he knew. One day he traveled to visit an old Zen master, for he had heard that this master was wise, and he wished to learn about Zen. Or so he said. In truth, he wished mostly to show the master how much he already understood. The master welcomed him kindly, and invited him to sit, and began to prepare tea, as was the custom. But the professor could not stay quiet. As the master worked, the professor talked, and talked. He spoke of all he had read. He gave his own opinions on this teaching and that. He filled the small room with his knowledge, hardly pausing to breathe. The old master listened, and said nothing. He simply set a cup before his guest, and lifted the teapot, and began to pour. He poured the tea into the cup. The cup filled to the top. And still the master kept pouring. The tea rose to the very rim, and then it spilled over the edge, running across the table, dripping onto the floor. And still the master poured, calmly, as if nothing were wrong. The professor stared. "Stop," he cried. "The cup is full. It is overflowing. No more will go in." And the old master set down the teapot. And gently he said, "You are like this cup. You are already so full of your own ideas, your own opinions, your own knowing. There is no room for anything new. How can I show you anything, until you first empty your cup?" The professor sat in silence. And slowly, he understood. To learn anything truly, we must first make ourselves empty. We must set down what we are so sure of, and become open again, like an empty cup, ready to be filled. And there is a gift in that emptiness, even now, even tonight. You do not have to be full. You do not have to hold every thought, every plan, every opinion about how today went or how tomorrow should go. You can let the cup of your mind grow empty, and quiet, and still. And in that emptiness, there is such deep rest. Let your thoughts settle, like leaves drifting down to the floor of a still pond. You do not need to hold them. Let the cup empty itself, slowly, thought by thought, until there is only the quiet, and the soft dark, and your own gentle breathing. Breathe in. And let it go. This next story is about a quiet man who lived beside a village, and the two small words he spoke through all his troubles. There was once a Zen master who lived alone in a simple hut near a village. The people of the village respected him greatly. They said he was a pure man, a gentle man, who lived without anger and without complaint. And they were right. Now in that village there lived a young woman, the daughter of a family who owned a shop near the master's hut. And one day her parents discovered that she was going to have a child. Her mother and father were angry, and afraid, and full of shame. They demanded to know who the father was. At first the young woman would not say. But at last, to protect the true father, and perhaps because she was frightened, she told them it was the Zen master who lived nearby. The parents were furious. They stormed to the master's hut, and they accused him with harsh and bitter words, there in front of everyone. The master listened to all of it. And when they had finished, he said only 2 words. "Is that so?" That was all. He did not argue. He did not defend himself. He did not grow angry, or afraid, or cast the blame back upon them. He simply said, "Is that so, and let it be." When the child was born, the family brought the baby to the master's hut and left it in his care. By now his good name was ruined. The whole village believed the worst of him. The respect they had given him turned to scorn. People whispered as he passed. But the master said nothing to defend himself. He simply took the child in. And he cared for that child with all his heart. He begged milk from the neighbors who now looked down on him. He kept the baby warm through the cold nights. He gave the child everything it needed, season after season, and asked for nothing in return. A year went by. And the young mother could bear it no longer. The guilt weighed on her until she could not sleep. At last she told her parents the truth. The father of the child was a young man in the village. The master had done nothing at all. Her parents were shaken. They hurried to the master's hut, and they bowed low before him, full of shame, begging his forgiveness for all the wrong they had done him. They told him the truth was known now. They asked to take the child back. The master listened to all of it. And as he gently handed the child back into their arms, he said only 2 words. "Is that so?" That was all. He had not been lifted up by their praise, in the beginning. And he had not been broken by their blame, in the middle. And now he was not moved by their apology, in the end. Praise and blame washed over him like water over a smooth stone, and left him just as he was. Calm. Whole. At peace. For he did not hang his peace upon what others thought of him. He knew that the opinions of the world blow this way and that, like the wind, warm one day and cold the next. And a life built upon that wind can never truly rest. So he let the wind blow, and he simply went on caring for the child, and living his quiet life, the same whether they honored him or scorned him. And there is a deep rest in that, if we can taste even a little of it. So much of what tires us is the weight of being judged. What will they think? What did they mean? How do I look in their eyes? We carry it everywhere, this endless weighing of ourselves against the opinions of others. But tonight, none of that can reach you. Here, in the dark, there is no one to impress and no one to answer to. You can lay down the heavy work of being seen. You can let the wind of the world blow far away, out past the window, over the hills, while you rest here, whole and untroubled, like a smooth stone in a quiet stream. Is that so? Let it be so. And breathe, and sink deeper still. And now, the last story of the night. It is a gentle one, about a man who owned almost nothing, and a thief who came to his door. High on a mountainside, there lived an old hermit in a tiny hut. He was a poet and a wanderer, and he had chosen a life of great simplicity. He owned almost nothing at all. A thin robe. A bowl for rice. A mat to sleep on. And the moon, that rose each night over the mountain and filled his little hut with silver light. One evening, while the hermit was out walking beneath the pines, a thief crept into his hut, hoping to steal whatever he could find. But there was nothing to steal. No money. No treasures. No fine things. Only the bare walls, and the empty bowl, and the thin mat on the floor. The thief stood there in the dark, disappointed, finding nothing worth taking. And just then, the old hermit returned, and found the thief standing in his empty hut. The hermit was not afraid, and he was not angry. He felt only a kind of tenderness for this man who had climbed all the way up the mountain and would go home with nothing. "You have come a long way to visit me," the hermit said gently, "and you should not go away empty-handed. Please, take my robe. Take it as a gift." And he took off his own robe, and pressed it into the startled thief's hands. The thief, confused, took the robe, and slipped away into the night. The old hermit sat down, bare, upon his mat. And he looked up through the open window at the moon, rising full and bright above the dark mountain, pouring its soft silver light down over everything. And quietly, to himself, he said, "Poor man. I wish I could have given him this beautiful moon." For the hermit knew a secret that made him rich beyond any thief's dream. The things we clutch and lock away, the things we fear to lose, are not where the real treasure lies. The moon over the mountain belonged to no one, and so it belonged to him completely. And it could never be stolen, and it would never wear out, and it would rise again, faithfully, every single night of his life, free, for anyone with the quiet heart to look up and receive it. He had let go of almost everything. And in letting go, he had found a life that no one could take from him. So let this be the last weight you set down tonight. All the things you hold on to. All the things you fear to lose. Let them grow light. You do not need to guard anything while you sleep. The truest and gentlest things, the moonlight, the quiet, the soft breath moving in and out of your body, the simple peace of this moment, these were never things you had to hold at all. They are simply given, again and again, freely, like the moon over the mountain. And now there is nothing left to do, and nothing left to carry, and nowhere else to be. The stories are finished. You can let the last of the words dissolve into the dark. You do not need to remember any of them. Let them go, like small lights drifting out over still water. Feel how heavy and warm your body has become. Feel the bed beneath you, holding you completely. There is nothing you need to do now but breathe, and rest, and drift. Breathe in, slowly, one last gentle time. And let it go. With each breath, you are sinking deeper. Down, and down, into the soft and quiet dark. Like a leaf settling on the floor of a still pond. Like the moon slipping behind the mountain. There is nothing to hold. Nothing to solve. Nothing to fear. Only rest, and quiet, and the long, soft night ahead. Let yourself drift now. All the way down, into sleep. Sleep well. And may the quiet stay with you until morning.